welcome. Good to see you tonight. You guys having a good week? Yeah? Or no? Does the silence mean no? For those that don't know, I have 4 kids. So I don't do well with silence. Because silence means something's wrong. Those who have kids know that. But it's good to have you guys here tonight. Yes, watch out. All right. And guys that are on live streaming tonight, welcome. Good to, well, I can't see you, but you can see me. So good evening. So tonight, I'm going to wrap up my series on Give Me Room and See What I Can Do. Al, I'm getting kind of an echo up here. I keep hearing myself twice, which I don't mind hearing myself twice. Actually, I do. But so I want to wrap up the series on Give Me Room and See What I Can Do. So if you have your Bibles or your app or whatever you use, go to Acts chapter 17, verse 6. And this is the New King James Version. It says, "These who have turned the world upside down have come here too." So I just those that haven't been here for the first 2 parts. The first week we talked about the who. Who are we making room for? And we talked about the innkeeper that had someone knocking on his door, a woman that was pregnant with a man that was with her that wasn't her husband, needing a place to stay. And something inside the innkeeper said, make room for them. And he did. Obviously, we know they made room for Jesus. And so the who is Jesus. Who are we making room for is Jesus. And I love this description in Matthew 4, and it starts in verse 23, of who Jesus was. It says, Jesus went throughout Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness among the people. News about him spread all over Syria, and the people brought to him all who were ill with various diseases, those suffering severe pain, the demon-possessed, those having seizures, and the paralyzed, and he healed them all. I think it's a pretty good summarization of what Jesus did while he was here. So that's who we're making room for. And then the next week we talked about the why. Why do we make room? And we focused on Genesis 1, where it says God created man in his own image, and that we are created in his image. So therefore, the more room we make for him, the more we just become who we were created to be. That we don't disappear, but we just become more like him, which means we're more of who we were created to be, because we're created in his image. So that was kind of the who and the why. So tonight I want to just talk about the what. What now? What happens now? I think that's a great question. I think most college students, when they get out of college, have to answer that question. What now? What do I do now? I knew why I went to school, and I knew what happened. Now I have my degree, but what now? What is going to happen now? And so it's really interesting because it doesn't matter what degree you have. So if somebody gets a teaching degree, it doesn't make them a teacher. What makes them a teacher if they actually teach? Same with a writer. You're not an author unless you write. So most college students have to answer that question, what now? It was on Saturday. On Monday nights, I oversee an open gym basketball. And so most of the time I don't play very much, but I just kind of make sure the games are going well and everyone's having a good time and all that. But where I stand, all the guys that are waiting to play kind of sit behind me, and it's really interesting all the conversations I hear. Because they don't know really that I can hear them, because the gym's kind of loud, but it's just fun. And a couple of weeks ago, I was listening to these 3 guys talking, and one guy was just talking about how he had played college basketball to these other 2 guys, and he was just kind of telling them, because they were asking what he had played and stuff, and so he kind of told them, and the other 2 guys were like, yeah, I could have played college ball. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh, great, where is this going? And they're like, oh, yeah, I totally could have played. I could have tried out if I wanted to and made the team. It would have been no problem. But, I chose not to. I just didn't want to. And I'm like, oh, brother. Then the other guy's like, oh, yeah, I could have played college football. I totally could have. I just, didn't want to put the time into it. And the guy, the third guy that actually was a college player was super gracious and was like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, great. But I'm just thinking, these guys are acting like they were actually college ball players. But they had never played. They never actually did it. So they really weren't college basketball players or college football players. And this is what's interesting. It says, this is what they said about Paul and Silas. Those who have turned the world upside down have come here too. They were actually living it out. They were actually living out the why they were here. They were living out that they were in the image of God. They were living out the who. They were living out who Jesus was. And if Jesus is who we say he is, and we're created in his image, then shouldn't we be doing what he did? Man, it got really quiet in here. Whew. It's good news because he lives inside you. Because when we become who God created us to be, then we can't help but turn the world upside around us. Because we all have those people around us that turn the world upside down in a negative way. How many of those have at your workplace? You just know those people. When you see them walk in the door, you're like, uh-oh, today's not going to be a good day. Why are teenagers raising their hands? Are you saying you are those people? No. No, you would never do that to your mom, would you? No, never. But when I was working, there was this lady that worked for me, and she was a great lady, was a great employee, worked super hard. But she had those days where when I'd walk into the restaurant in the morning, I'm like, uh-oh. Something is being turned upside down in a bad way today. And then the rest of the day you're walking on eggshells because of it. But then I had another lady, her name was Esther. And she was a regional catering manager for Panera Bread when I was the GM for Panera Bread. And anytime she came in, it totally changed the atmosphere when she would walk into the place. It would totally flip it around in the good way. She was always smiling, very happy. She had a very stressful job, but always very happy, talked positively, didn't matter what was going on. She always had an encouraging word for me, and she just was incredible. So she would always change the atmosphere when she walked in. And it didn't matter what was going on. Even if she was having a bad day, she still changed the atmosphere in a positive way. And I always loved that about her. It helped that she really reminded me of my sister. She was amazing. My sister was amazing, but she just really reminded me of her. So it would always bring a smile to my face whenever she would come in. But we all have those people in our lives that flip our world upside down, either in a positive way or a negative way. And so, who are we? Who are we? Are we the type that when we walk into a room, people are happy to see us? Or people start avoiding us? Curious. If you don't know how to answer that question, you're probably the latter. Oh, my goodness. I'm going to get myself in trouble. Because when we know, sorry. Because when we know who Jesus is, and we know who we are, then what is our response? And the reason I'm having difficulty say this is because it's a conviction on me too. This isn't, we live this out ourselves. And this is something God's been dealing with me over the last few weeks, is if I am really who you say I am, and you're really who you say you are, then how are you living it out? How are you living it around the people that you influence? And are they saying he's the one that turns over atmospheres when he walks in a room? Is he the one that turns over the world upside down when he walks into a place? And so tonight, I just want us to think about, what do we do when we walk into a room? What kind of influence do we have when we walk into the room? Because Jesus said this in Matthew 28, therefore go and make disciples of all nations. In Acts 1, it says, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. And then Mark 16, go into all the world. I think we read that, especially those that have been in church all their life, and that's a great mission statement. It's great for missionaries, it's great for pastors, but Jesus wasn't talking to pastors and missionaries or even evangelists. He was talking to the church, which is you and I, which is us. And this is what he was talking about. Are you going to go into all the world that you have influence in? Are you going to go into your workplace and be an influencer? Are you going to be in your family and be an influencer? Are you going to be in your school or in the grocery store and the register person is ringing you up and they just don't understand why their day just turned around? Because that's what we're called to do. We're called to be Jesus because we're made in his image. That's who we are. In our core, that is who you are. And you're the only one that can express that image of God. I can't express your image of God to other people because I'm not made in that part of God's image. Only you can express that. Because we're all different. We all have different DNA. We all have different fingerprints. It's just amazing what God did when he created man. That all of us are different. There's not one person that's the same. And we all show the image of God. Because we're the ones that are called to turn the world upside down. In our homes, in our workplace, with our family members, the people we come across every day, they're wanting and they're waiting for people to turn their world upside down. From the beginning, from Genesis, God's plan was always, always to use us. He didn't even name the animals or the plants. He created them. But it's always been a partnership that he's chosen. And that's who we're making room for. The God that created everything, but wants us to be the expression of him. And you are that expression to the people around you. And they're just waiting for you to do it. And it's not like you have to go preach on a corner. Growing up, that was the only way you can express God in the public, was you go stand on the corner, yell out Bible verses, and tell everybody they're going to hell. That was it. If you did that, then you did the Great Commission. But that's obviously not it at all. Thank goodness. It's the simple things. It's simply being kind to people and listening to the Holy Spirit. How can I be kind to this person? How can I love on this person? Me and a friend, Magnus, he's Swedish. Wish the U.S. beat them in curling. So awesome. How many watched curling? Don't be ashamed. That's it. I don't know why, but I got hooked on it this time. I've seen it in past Olympics, and why would you ever watch this? Unless you just envision them having a beer in their hand, this big old belly, and they just kind of, let's throw stones. That'll be fun. That's athletic. But for some reason this year, I got hooked. I think it was because I could never figure out how it actually worked or the scoring of it. But Sweden, Magnus. There we go. We were up, curling, yes. We were up in Sacramento just walking around, kind of doing a prayer walk, just kind of checking the city out. And we came across this young man. We were trying to actually get to a park, and there's a creek. We were in the downtown. There's this big creek, and there's no bridges to get across. And we could not figure out how to get to this park. So we just stopped him, and we were like, hey, do you know how to get to this park? And he's like, well, you really can't. And we're like, yeah, we know that. That's why we're asking you. He's like, well, you got to go way around. But Magnus just started talking to him, and it was like, you know what? And he said this brilliant thing. All he said was, you know what? God's really proud of you. And I'm thinking, Magnus, come on. Really? God's really proud of you? That's going to change this kid's world, That's like saying God loves you. Come on, and the kid starts weeping. My jaw hit the floor. I'm like, what just happened? And that's all Magnus said is, hey, you know what? God's really proud of you. And this kid just started streaming tears. And so we were able to just love on him. And I still don't understand it. But what Magnus did, he was just tapped into the love of the Father and just said something very simple that he was hearing God saying to this young man. And it changed his world. Later on, all he knew was Magnus's first name and that he was from Vacaville in Sweden. And the guy 2 weeks later hunted him down on Twitter or Facebook, actually hunted him down and said, I need you to come and talk to me and my friends. I don't know what you did, but I have to have more. And all he said was, God's really proud of you. So it's not standing on the corner and preaching, unless that's what God's called you to do. But it's simply listening to the Holy Spirit, knowing who you are, knowing who He is, and just loving on people. That's all that Jesus did. He just saw what the Father was doing and did it. And I think God is calling us to, are we going to do it? Are we going to really believe who He is? And are we really going to believe who we are? If I can have the band come up. Because we always tend to have two voices in our head. The one that says, hey, why don't you try this? And the voice is like, heck no, I am not talking to this person. You're crazy, and I am not going to do that. How many have those kind of conversations with yourselves? We all do. And if somebody says that they don't, they're lying. But it's what voice are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to the voice of the Father that loves you, that created you, and is amazing, and you're created in His image? Or are you going to listen to yourself, saying, I can't do that? Because I know I want to be who God created me to be. And He created me to be like Him. He created me in His image. And so why wouldn't I want other people to know that they're created in His image? Because He created everybody in His image. Even that person that totally ruins your day. They were created in God's image. And that's who He died for. That's who He loves. He loves us all, no matter who we are. So why don't you stand with me tonight? during worship, sang a song about a river of grace. And I just felt during that song that there's people here that were just asking themselves, could that really be true? Could there really be a river of grace that's for me? You know, it says that his throne, it's a throne of grace. And I don't think God ever plans on standing for eternity. So his throne will never run out of grace. And that river of grace is available to you tonight. So I want to go after that, and then also go after just a new challenge of God. Are we going to really believe who you are, and are we going to believe who we are? And are we going to make decisions based on our fears, or are we going to base it on who you are? So God, we just ask right now that you are so good at revealing to us where we need to make an adjustment. So God, right now, I just ask that you reveal to us where we are not living who you are, and we're not living who we are. God, I just ask right now that grace is already flowing here now, but that we would just take a drink. So if that's you and you need grace tonight, just encourage you to take a drink, because he is so good, and he's never going to run out of grace for you. There's nothing you can do where he's going to run out of grace for you. There's nothing you've done that grace will not cover. He's created you in his own image. And why would he deny his own image? Because he's a good father, and there's a throne of grace just for you. So God, we are so hungry for you. Jesus, we are so hungry for you. God, we want to actually live out what we believe, what we sing about. So if that's you tonight and you need that grace tonight, or you're just so hungry that you actually want to live out what you read about what you say God is, who you say you are, and you just want to go after that we actually live out what we believe and what we say, and there's grace for that tonight. So if that's you, I just invite you up front. We want to pray with you, but there is a fountain of grace. There is a river of grace, and he's here for you tonight. So I just invite you up front to get in that river of grace.
So full of grace.
after that, because here at the Mission, we believe if we sing it, we believe it. So if you need healing, would you slip your hand up? And we just want to pray this over you for complete healing. So we're going to sing this again, and we're just going to go out after it. If there's someone standing around you with their hand up, can you just ask them if it's okay to pray for them? Because there's a fountain, there's a river and a throne of grace. And there was a God that loved you, that sent his son to die and bear his stripes so that we can be healed. And we believe that, and we're going to go after it. So God, we just right now pray that your healing oil right now comes right now. Right now, we ask for complete healing right now. God, right now, I pray for knees. That right now, that knees completely healed. That ligaments will grow right now. New cartilage. So Jesus, we just commit to you tonight. Not only do we believe who you were and who you are, but that we'll actually live it out. God, we commit today that we will live out who we are, that we will actually show the image of God to the people around us. We will reveal who we were created to be. And that you're here with us, that you live inside of us, and you don't want us to disappear, but you want us to become who we were created to be. So tonight we just commit that we will be the people that turn the world upside down. That we will be the people that live the stories. That we won't just hear the stories, but we will live the stories. God, we just ask right now to give us courage and boldness to love on the people around us. Aren't you glad we serve a God of grace? He's so amazing. Well, I just encourage you this week, listen to that voice in your head that tells you to take a risk and see what God will do. Take a risk, give him some room, and see what he'll do. So just a reminder, this Wednesday we have our marriage class starting. It's in the living room upstairs at 7 o'clock. Meet in the hangar at 7 o'clock. You do not want to miss that. And that's for our marriage class starting. It's the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. And then also next week we have Ivan Tate with us. You do not want to miss Ivan Tate. He's undescribable. You do not want to miss him. He'll be with us Saturday night and then also be with us Sunday morning. You do not want to miss that. So love you guys. Have a great week and we'll see you next Saturday.